Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast. I'm Steve Gurney, founder of the Positive Aging Community. We're thrilled to have you join us for interactive discussions with pioneers and thought leaders on a wide variety of topics related to aging and longevity. These insightful discussions and the Positive Aging Sourcebook are brought to you thanks to the support from our Positive Aging Community champions. Visit proaging.com to connect with them and discover hundreds of valuable other resources. We're excited to have you with us today, so let's jump into an engaging, positive aging, live and interactive discussion. All right, folks. Well, I am super excited today to have Lauren Dunning from the Milken Institute, and we're going to talk about a brand new report that she and her colleagues have put together. But before we do, Lauren, tell me a little about yourself and what you and your team are doing over at the Milken Institute.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm really decidedly happy to be here because just a few weeks ago, we released the future of connected care, enabling healthy longevity and aging at home. And we'll get to that soon. But first, I want to share a little bit about the Milken Institute. So the Milken Institute is a nonprofit, nonpartisan think tank, and we're focused on accelerating measurable progress on the path to a meaningful life. We have offices in the US, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, and we believe that physical health, financial health, and the ability to give back are central to this progress. And that leads to our pillar areas of health, finance, and philanthropy. Many people know us for our convenings. For example, just in May, we got done with our global conference, and we hold that annually. And one of the great things about it is, well, it's an incredible in-person experience. A lot of people don't know that the amazing sessions with political figures, business leaders, all different kinds of topics and ideas that are on the pulse of right now are available on our website. So I highly encourage people to go there and check it out, milkeninstitute.org. And just to dive a little bit more into the work that I'm doing at the Milken Institute, I'm a part of the Future of Aging, and we work to advance healthy longevity and financial security for all through research, convenings, multi-sector partnerships, and the elevation of high-impact policy and practices. Our team, we collaborate with leaders from business, philanthropy, government, nonprofits, and academia, and we're really looking to make a better future for all ages, knowing that aging is a life course journey. Right? We got to think about all generations when we talk about aging. And we have 4 practice areas that we focus on, which are home and community, health span, brain health, and financial longevity. And the work that we're about to talk about today talks probably about all 4 of those in some way.
Well, I was going to say, when I saw the press release for this report, in the title, you basically packed everything that our community members are interested in: connected care, healthy longevity, and aging at home. These are some of the top discussion topics.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about this report and some of the conclusions that that you and your team found in doing your research.
Absolutely. So a lot of this is the why. Why focus on this area? And one is that most of us will age at home. We know that most homes where most people already are, 97.5% of older adults over 65 live either in their own home or that of someone else, meaning not in an institutional or congregate setting. And most people, 75% to 95% in surveys, say that aging at home is their preference, right? Even as needs change and as people's capacities and interests change, right? And so on top of that, traditional senior housing is out of reach for many. And so knowing that most people are aging at home and will age at home due to preference or necessity, we're looking really closely at that environment, right? And then when you focus on technology, we have really exciting new developments in technology enabling connected care, which is the ecosystem of devices and services on the horizon that have the power to make a new aging experience that connects older adults, their environments, their families, and their healthcare together, right? So that's a holistic experience for people aging at home. And you might have asked, or else I'm going to ask myself, right, what's the urgency here, right?
Yeah.
Right. And the urgency is that we all, I think everybody on your podcast knows it intuitively, we're experiencing demographic change, right? We're going from 63 to 82 million older adults by 2050 in the US. But that's not the entire story, because with this demographic shift, we're facing shortages of direct care workers that provide home care and that also provide health care to older adults. We're facing that family caregivers are stretched, right? Family sizes are smaller. Many live far away and are working. And there's more solo agers than ever, right? People that are aging without a spouse or never had a spouse and didn't have children and are really looking to their communities and friends as part of their aging experience, right? So we know that we have a different landscape than we've had in the past, both on numbers and on experiences, and that we're going to need more care, right? Because our lifespans have extended, but our health spans and our lifespans, the health span is the number of years we'll live in good health. They don't match. And so most older adults at this point are managing a few chronic conditions, and connected care at home can help with this along with prevention. And so we can get a little bit deeper into all of this, but we and I will be delighted to share about sort of what we did and what our recommendations were. But I wanted to pause there.
Yeah, wow. I mean, you've really hit so many hot buttons for me personally, but our community members. And one of the things that we see is that oftentimes we introduce people to, health related or assisted technologies, and they say, oh, that's nice, but I'm not ready for that yet. Um, what do you think some are the main barriers for people adopting some of this, the tech and that you're talking about, and how can we better address this?
So first, I'll say a few things about what's exciting on the horizon, which is that we know that there's some perceptions around tech and aging in older adults, but the data are here in many ways to show us something else, right? 90% of older adults have smartphones. The average older adult has 7 smart tech devices at home. In many categories, ownership is on par with older adults and people of different generations. So we have people adopting technology. And in fact, over about 50% have adopted specifically technologies that help them explicitly to age at home and help their health at home. Now, do we think that more people could benefit from adoption? Absolutely. And one of those barriers is that people report, the majority report, that they don't think that technologies are being made with their age or themselves as older adults in mind. And so this points to really needing to engage the developer and investor community in products and services that are not just tailored, but it's really about right, there's co-design, there's understanding the use cases, how people really use things, and then thinking about right now in the environment. It's really a great thing that we have over so many choices, over 350,000 mobile health apps, over 3,000 H-tech companies in the world. There's 18.8 billion Internet of Things connected devices deployed globally, right? So there's an enormous amount of the categories of things as we think about it, which includes digital health. It's specifically for healthcare. There's digital health for personal health. It's consumer facing as people think about their smart watches and rings and other devices that support learning about yourself and your health. Then we have, right, smart homes. A lot of that supports aging at home and safety at home. And then there's also just age tech, which might not be health related and might not be home related and is related to the aging process around products and services. With so many choices, people might feel a little lost in looking out at this sea of things, right? Because they maybe are disconnected and aren't yet sharing data in the ways that will really give us those insights. And especially with the advent of AI, those AI-driven insights that will let us have actionable insight into people's home and experience as they age about what they need, what they want, and where the opportunities lie for them personally.
Well, I love having people like you on because you studied this, and just the numbers that you threw out of the tech devices
Mhm.
and the choices that we have out there. the in your research and your colleagues' research, are there a few either types of products or specific like age tech companies or tools or verticals that we all might focus on as being sort of cutting edge here for now or in the future?
Yeah. So, one, I'll just take the opportunity to share a little bit more about our report and how we got here,
Okay.
and then dip a little bit into, I think, our recommendations connect with opportunities and what the future might look like for people. So, we saw this need, right, to assess and put information together and to help people across sectors really grow and mature this ecosystem to better serve older adults. And so we did qualitative interviewing with experts across different sectors, right? Thinking about healthcare systems, technology companies, government agencies, philanthropies, housing, all different kinds of sectors to understand their perspectives on the ecosystem, what we need, what's important, where we're going. And we paired that with obviously literature reviews and desktop research and a convening for really design work with experts in this space. And out of that, we came with found 6 building blocks for action that connect with pathways to progress, meaning like actionable ways that people in the ecosystem can address different barriers or different opportunities to really support awareness, adoption, and access to technologies, helping people age at home. And they kind of fit into the just short descriptions are we want to characterize the needs and preferences of older adults and then do that alongside available connected care tools. So we really know what fits together and who it will help. And then that might inform future design about what's missing, what's needed, and letting people know what goes together, what bundles together. Because right now, a lot of the time you can get separate technologies, but they don't interact and they don't become more than the sum of their parts, or the data is siloed. And then do you have to look at all of it on a separate app? What's that experience like? Next, we know that we need infrastructure for that data exchange. We need ways to make that data more meaningful to people. And that can include a digital front door, right? Which can be a way to find products and services tailored to you, can be a way to help data exchange across all of these different devices and apps and categories, and then also create any type of sort of visual presentation to bring it together, roll it up for an older adult or their caregiver or to their healthcare provider. But there's a lot of barriers to that still, and so we want to create shared frameworks to validate and link those solutions. And that's sort of a bundle of ideas. And then lastly, we want to have widespread adoption. And for that, you need improved access, integration, and financing, right? The how people afford it part is is really important. Now, you said what are some right exciting areas? What are those opportunities in the ecosystem? And we've pointed to some places where we could really use some connected tissue. So that's things that don't exist exactly yet, but hopefully are on the horizon, right? Such as digital front doors that people can be able to connect their devices and see more about their data and get access to different ideas that are tailored to them and their needs.
Now, let
We
me
don't have that yet, but there's some things we do have.
before you dive
Yeah.
too deep into this and I stop pretending that I know what a digital front door is. I
Yes.
was thinking, is she talking about the Ring doorbell or is she talking about a dashboard that gets me
Yes.
access to?
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that because I get really excited about this, about how we take all of these available devices and bring together their data and in ways that make it easy for people to look across and understand.
Okay.
So, for example, what I'm talking about when we talk about a digital front door is, right, we're talking about let's just be very literal. You go on your iPad, you open an app, and that app shows you all the devices you're using, has a dashboard about different health metrics that are important to you, different maybe metrics about your life, right? About nutrition, activity, social connection. And then might be looking at that data and saying, hey, we have a portal, a digital marketplace about tools, age tech tools. And that here's some you might connect with based on that data. And there's some ideas out in the world. We in our report shine some light on Activate, which is a collaboration with MITRE and UC Davis that built a piece of that's focused on chronic disease and is being used in some FQHCs. That's some federally qualified health centers. We also saw at CES, which is a huge gathering of technology in Las Vegas every
Getting
year.
more and more healthcare is being spotlighted there.
And Age Tech, which is so exciting. So the AARP Age Tech Pavilion there is bigger than ever. And in that, for example, we saw all different kinds of solutions that fit in the ecosystem. And then there was also Samsung showcased their version of a digital front door there. So you could interact with a prototype of what it might be like. So, people on different parts of the ecosystem, right? Healthcare, technology are working to make the components. And I think that that's one area where people might have more access soon. But then thinking about the applications themselves, right? One area I think that we've seen a lot of products and services is around falls detection, right? I'm not going to call it just falls detection, right? It's mobility, right? And safety at home so people can move freely and not have as much worry about their mobility at home, because we know that falls are, right, debilitating, they are costly, and they're in many cases deadly. And it's mobility and having functional capacity is important for us all, because the point of all of this connected care isn't to stay at home, it's to be able to go out and do the things that you love. And so even within falls prevention, right, there's the things people normally think about around mobility, right, which is detection, right? Has this person fallen, and how can we get them the help they need? That's super important. But there's things earlier in the continuum. How do we engage people through their screens to engage in evidence-based exercising or balance programs that help prevent falls? How do we know about monitoring changes in movement in your environment that might indicate falls risk, changes in gait, right? Changes in movement patterns. How can we look at medication management to understand risk there, right? And there's other aspects of health status that can give us insight about when somebody might be more at risk for a fall, or changes in the environment that might help them be less at risk, so have more mobility. So there's all these different pieces. And I think what's difficult is I can't say people should use this, because it's personal about what you need.
We're all
And
unique and what our preferences, like I know a lot of this stems into a lot of this technology is being developed in the fitness
yeah,
world
yes,
first and transcending in. And so somebody that might prefer like an Oura ring over
yes,
a watch or something around your neck or something in your footbeds of your shoes, like thinking
yes.
about that. But as somebody that has adopted a lot of the technology for sports and fitness,
Hmm.
this idea of a digital front door, to me, I understand it because, I've got 3 or 4 different apps and I have to log into 3 or 4 different things. If I had that front door and they were
Yeah,
all talking together, the insights that might be gained that
yes.
help me kind of focus on my fitness or fall risk, what have you.
Mhm.
And I also think the exciting thing about age tech is that as we are comfortable with having wearable technology that monitors us and makes us a better person uh, through our lifespan,
Mhm.
this is automatically going to just shift into preventative and helpful things for our
Yeah,
as we move into the later chapters of our life.
absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that's interesting about this is there's things we all can do, right? I'm in middle life and there's some technologies that are age tech, but I'm excited about them. So, right, there's LEQ, which is a personal assistant robot that sits and can interact with you and can give you reminders. I need a reminder to stand up once every hour and move around a little bit. There's great evidence base about just doing that much, exercise can help offset sedentary behavior, but we don't have those sort of reminders in our minds. And so there's this great potential for on the prevention side. And by the way, the earlier we adopt and get used to it, the more we're able to sort of build that continuum, comfort, capacity over our lifetimes.
Yeah, and the thing that I like about adopting this technology earlier in our the chapters of our life is that then the stigma of, oh, you're buying me this robot because I'm
Yes.
old and I'm not as good as I used to be. No, I've had the robot sitting here in my office since I was in my 20s and 30s, and it helped
Yes.
me with brainstorming, and now it's helping me with
Yes.
brain exercises and monitoring my balance and what have you. This is such exciting stuff. Okay.
Normalize is the word, Steve. I just want to kind of put a point on that, right? Which is all of us are using different kinds of assistance already. And it's only going to get more and more tailored, more ubiquitous. And the more we normalize it and make it about assistance across our lifetimes, the better. Because, for example, thinking about intergenerational connection, right? We know that so many people in the sandwich generation are having caregiving experiences that then make them look at their own lives right now that might put them on a healthier aging trajectory. And we think that's great. And the more people across generations think about and experience it, the more we'll have normalization, reduced stigma, because stigma is a huge barrier to adoption. People don't, what is it? Joe Coughlin says, big, boring, and beige, right? And we don't want that. We want it to be exciting and vibrant. And people are responding to that call to action.
Yeah, and to that, uh, I know we could talk for 5 hours on this, but I love this thread that we were going down of normalization. And one of the things that I had some success with not too long ago, and I forgot what piece of technology it was, but an adult child was talking to me about getting something for their dad, and dad was resistant. And I said, why don't you try this? Buy it for yourself and buy it for your dad and say, Dad, I bought this for myself. I got you one too. We're going to use this together. And the funny thing is, I remember in the follow up, the adult child was really excited about the productivity of whatever this device was, and how it had improved their life. And so going through that experience with the caregiver now, he's already he's doing a favor to future generations and to the people in his life by doing that. Anyways, I know I'm babbling here.
Agree.
Listen, I want to kind of, like I said, we could talk for hours, but I'd like to just really wrap this up in terms of any sort of actionable things or any important things that you all learned in this research project. I'll make sure to put the link to the report so everybody can read it. But any sort of conclusions that we should know about with this research?
Absolutely. So some of the conclusions are that we have so much exciting technology and our healthcare is centering more on the home. And so this shift is central to the trends that are happening, right? It writ large in our society about how and where we'll access care, how we'll live when we need care. And there in this report are definitely lots of action steps for different sectors that might play a role in creating the environments when we're talking about technology, right? Making the connective tissue we've been discussing, digital front doors, the different solutions that bring things together, right? We've got technology companies themselves doing that, thinking about healthcare systems and how to increase affordability, access, adoption through the types of coverage they have. And there's interest in this, right? So, for example, the Medicare program just issued a request for information about how digital health and technology and tech-enabled care might be better integrated into Medicare, right? And so there's different pieces of the ecosystem developing across sectors, and a lot of the recommendations are focused on that. But then there's pieces about older adults and their caregivers themselves, because as there's more and more doors, right, of asking people to do co-design, co-development, participate, right, give feedback. That's really central to how this develops. And so that's a way to think about it now. And then in terms of just the message, it's that there's all these solutions. Right now, it takes a bit more to look and to dig and to think about it. but you're doing your future self a favor, you're supporting your family. Older adults are helping meet their own goals of independence and preference, and that these supports are there and they're only going to get more widespread as folks in our ecosystem are working hard to make that happen.
Man, I love it. And I mean, I just get so excited that a leading, thought leader think tank like your organization is studying this area, because without that, we're not gonna progress. And the I I hope you continue this research in this area and all kinds of associated areas, because I believe that these research projects, and folks, check out this report, that whether you're an individual and you're caring for a loved one, if you're in this business space and you're taking care
Yes.
of other people, if you're, a policymaker or, a town supervisor, the data in this report can be information that can inspire people in your community to make changes, or what have you. There's just so much good that can happen with this, and ultimately, this is a topic where we all aspire to be in this group of older adults, and so the better we can make it, it's going to be better for ourselves. It's going to be better for our loved ones and future generations. Uh,
I Yes, I love that you say that, right? We should all be so lucky, and that's what we're all aiming for. It's an aspiration. And the good news is we're doing more work in this space. We have at least two more publications in a series related to this report. So more action, more ideas, more design to help us keep moving. So thank you.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait to have you back on to talk
Thank
about
you.
some of those reports. But Lauren, thanks so much for your time today, and really keep up the good work.
Thank you, Steve. It's been delightful.